Back in 2005, my husband and I got together with some of our good friends and bought a commercial strip center. We had altogether 6 tenants, with 60% of the space occupied by a national credit drugstore. The building was actually built specifically for this drugstore only 10 years ago, and they're 10 years into a 50-year lease. They told us that this was their best performing location in the area. And because of that, we thought our 25-year fully amortized commercial real estate loan with balloon intent was safe, that we could refinance anytime in the 10 years with no problem. We were happy with our purchase. A few years later, at the bottom of the Great Recession, we received a letter from the regional real estate manager for this national credit drugstore. In the letter, the regional manager expressed the drugstore's sympathy towards the landlord's difficulty in refinancing in difficult economic times. They offered to do a lease extension in exchange for a major rent reduction. We looked at our situation and thought we were still in really good shape because our balloon payment was not due for another 5 or 6 years, and there was still 37 years remaining on our lease. So we ignored the letter. A few more years went by, and we heard from the regional real estate manager of this drugstore. They informed us they were moving across the street. We were in shock. Our location was specifically designed and built for this drugstore only 15, 16 years ago. Why would they move across the street? On our end, we were stuck with a loan with balloon payment coming due in 3 or 4 years and no way to refinance because we would be at 60% vacancy. 6 months before the lease was up, we got a call from a representative from this drugstore. They said, "Hey, Elsie, we love location. We want to stay. We're willing to do a 10-year lease extension in exchange for a 10% rent reduction or an equivalent capital contribution to corporate." Again, we were in shock. First, they were almost done with the building across the street. They were already talking about moving plans. Second, why would a company that's listed on the stock exchange want capital contribution from little mom and pop investors like us? But we were being held hostage. What choice did we have? So we agreed to a 10% rent reduction, hoping to salvage our property so that we're not stuck with a 60% vacant building and the balloon payment due. 2-3 weeks after that, the representative from this drugstore called us and said, "Whoops, never mind, we didn't mean it." The end. Let's now recap where we are financially speaking. We bought this property with a 25-year fully amortized loan with balloon due in 10 years. Now we have to service the balloon payment with an amount that's not much less than the original loan amount. That's because during the first 10 years of the mortgage, most of the monthly payments went to servicing the interest and not the principal reduction. So we would have to come up with about $1.7 million to service the balloon, and then we would have to come up with a large chunk of money to reconfigure the area previously occupied by the drugstore in order to lease. This is money that we did not have. We were at risk of losing everything. Luckily, we were able to sell the location to a local grocery store and be able to get out just in time. But we were really, really lucky. If you think this doesn't happen very often and that Elsie was just unlucky, do your own research. This happens all the time. Here are the 3 things you need to remember when looking at commercial real estate loans. Number 1, balloons protect banks, not you. Number 2, large national credit tenants will use your balloon payments to their advantage. And number 3, if you're not able to service your balloons, your personal guarantees may be triggered and that could wipe you out. Play it safe.